TomoNews presents The Sun. How to safely watch the Great American Eclipse. NASA has issued a set of safety guidelines ahead of a solar eclipse that will be visible to more than 300 million people in the United States on August 21st. According to NASA, an eclipse can be viewed directly through special-purpose solar filters, such as eclipse glasses or a handheld solar viewer. These filters should meet ISO safety standards, and the manufacturer's name and address should be printed on the product. Do not use filters that are more than 3 years old, or that have scratched or wrinkled lenses, and do not use regular sunglasses. And unless you want to go blind, don't even think about using homemade filters either. An alternative method is to use a pinhole projector. Simply cut a pencil-sized hole in a piece of paper or cardboard, then stream the sunlight through the hole onto a makeshift screen, such as a piece of paper. The most important thing to remember is that you should never, ever look directly at the sun. Well, not if you want to watch TomoNews again, that is. You only get one set of eyes, so look after them. Meet our sun's long-lost evil twin. Scientists have long believed that stars are born with at least one companion. Unfortunately, there hasn't been much evidence to support this theory until now. A new study has found that sun-like stars initially form as wide binaries and either come together or break apart over the next million years. Some systems, like the Alpha Centauri, even form as triplets. Our sun would have been separated by a distance of 500 or more astronomical units from its twin star before it was believed to have moved farther away. The twin has been dubbed Nemesis after scientists hypothesized that it had knocked an asteroid out of orbit and sent it hurtling toward Earth. They say that asteroid eventually collided with our planet and killed off the dinosaurs. Still, Nemesis has never actually been found, and the idea that it may be responsible for catastrophic events on Earth has yet to be proved. China powers on world's largest floating solar farm. China just flipped the on switch on their latest green energy project. A new floating solar farm constructed on a lake in Huainan City in central China is said to be the largest in the world. It is made up of 160,000 solar panels. These panels can produce electricity for up to 15,000 homes. The farm is connected to a city where some 2.5 million people reside. The panels are placed at varying depths over the lake. The water helps cool the electronics in the devices and stops them from overheating. Solar energy, like wind, is sporadic and environmentally dependent, meaning the amount of power panels can gather may sometimes fluctuate depending on the weather. If the sun produces a superflare, we're all doomed. A new study suggests that the sun has the potential to produce superflares that could destroy the Earth. A superflare, just like standard solar flares, occurs when large magnetic fields on the surface of a star collapse. If one occurred on the sun, the collapse would cause the sun to release gigantic amounts of energy and hot plasma that would strike Earth with an intensity of up to 100 times worse than the most powerful solar flare ever recorded. A superflare would severely disrupt our GPS and radio communication systems, as well as our power grids. It could also wipe out Earth's atmosphere, and thus the planet's ability to support life. The largest solar eruption in recorded history, dubbed the Carrington event, struck the Earth in September of 1859. The solar flare disrupted the telegraph system worldwide and damaged the planet's ozone layer. NASA releases stunning video of Mercury passing over the sun. On May 9th, NASA filmed footage of Mercury passing between Earth and the sun. The rare event, called a transit, only happens slightly more than once a decade. The transit isn't normally visible from Earth, as the three celestial bodies rarely align. Mercury was seen passing by the sun as a tiny black dot. The planet's entire journey across the sun, as visible from Earth, took about 7.5 hours, which, if you really think about it, isn't that long. You would have to watch Mercury pass the sun almost 9 times to match the time you would need to spend finishing the entire original Star Trek series, which takes about 67 hours to complete. Deep Space Nine takes about 16.5 times as long as the celestial event. That's a little over 126 hours. Meanwhile, Voyager takes a little over 123 hours to watch. Now, if you want to go into the animated series, which isn't quite the same, you could almost complete it in the time Mercury's transit is viewable from Earth. So in the grand scheme of things, Mercury's travel didn't take long at all. But you just won't be able to see it all the time. The event happens about 13 times a century, and the last time was in 2006, and scientists say the next one won't occur until 2019.
NASA captures sun eruption sending solar material into space. This 4-hour time-lapse video released by NASA shows a solar eruption that grows into a coronal mass ejection. The footage was taken on June 18th by the Solar Dynamics Observatory. According to NASA, the eruption sent a huge cloud of coronal solar material out into space. The Solar Dynamic Observatory, or SDO, was launched from Cape Canaveral, Florida on February 11, 2010. The mission's goal is to study space weather and how it is created by changing solar activity, as well as measuring the magnetic field, the plasma of the solar corona, and how the sun creates the ionospheres of the planets in our solar system. NASA aims to use the SDO to understand solar activity like coronal mass ejections and how they influence life on Earth. Technological systems like satellites and electrical transmissions can be disrupted by solar activity, sometimes causing massive power outages. This is the first mission for NASA's Living with a Star program. The SDO is a 4.5-meter high spacecraft, measuring more than 2 meters on each side and weighing 3,100 kilograms with fuel. It takes almost continuous observations as it orbits the Sun.
Life on Earth may have been sparked by superflares from the Sun. Some 4 billion years ago, only 70% of the Sun's energy was received by the Earth, not enough to warm the planet. Despite this, geological evidence shows it was a warm globe with liquid water. Scientists have long been puzzled by this paradox, but new research may finally have an explanation: superflares. Our Sun today produces superflares once every 100 years. The bulk of this energy is kept from reaching Earth by the planet's strong magnetic field. When the Sun was much younger, only a few million years old, the flares were much more frequent and intense. The Earth then also had a weaker magnetic field. Particles from solar storms collided with nitrogen molecules in the atmosphere, breaking them into individual atoms. These, in turn, split carbon dioxide molecules into carbon monoxide and oxygen. Nitrogen combined with oxygen to form nitrous oxide, a potent greenhouse gas that would have warmed the planet enough for liquid water to exist. Energy from the solar particles may have also helped create complex compounds like DNA and RNA, the building blocks of life. Researchers pieced together a timeline of the Sun's evolution by analyzing data from NASA's Kepler Space Telescope, which found stars resembling our Sun.
NASA captures video of solar flare. NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory caught the moment the Sun released a mid-level solar flare on April 17th. The flare came from an area labeled Active Region 2529, which has sported a large dark spot called a sunspot over the past several days. The sunspot changed shape and size as it slowly made its way across the Sun's face over the past week and a half. It was big enough to be visible from the ground without magnification. This video was captured in several wavelengths of extreme ultraviolet light, a type of light that is typically invisible to our eyes but is color-coded for easy viewing. Solar flares are powerful bursts of radiation. Harmful radiation from a flare cannot pass through Earth's atmosphere to physically affect humans on the ground. However, when intense enough, they can disturb the atmosphere in the layer where GPS and communication signals travel. The NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center said this flare caused moderate radio blackouts. Scientists study active regions, areas of intense magnetism of the Sun, to better understand why they sometimes erupt with such flares.
New solar sunglasses harvest solar power. Researchers in Germany have successfully developed a pair of sunglasses that can generate power. The sunglasses contain organic solar cells, which are flexible and can be made into a variety of shapes and colors. The frames are also equipped with electronics, including a microprocessor, 2 sensors, and 2 displays. The solar power captured by the lenses are used to run the electronics, which measure current illumination intensity and ambient temperatures that are displayed on bar graphs. The lenses can generate about 200 milliwatts of excess power, which is enough to run devices such as a step counter, hearing aid, or a small speaker. The solar sunglasses work best in direct sunlight, but they can also work in dimmer lighting environments, such as inside homes or at the office. The researchers say the technology could be applied to the glass facades of high-rise buildings. Such a large surface area would enable the new solar cells to generate significantly more power. We're going to the sun. NASA is planning an ambitious new mission to touch the sun that will supposedly revolutionize our understanding of the yellow dwarf star. Solar Probe Plus is set to launch in summer 2018 and will orbit within 4 million miles of the sun's surface, closer than any spacecraft has approached before. The probe will be equipped with a carbon composite heat shield to help it withstand temperatures of more than 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It will collect data from the corona, the sun's outer atmosphere, to help solve the mystery of why it's millions of degrees hotter than the surface. Scientists aim to study solar activity in detail, particularly how solar winds are accelerated. This could improve forecasts of space weather events, which can shake the Earth's magnetic field and impact satellite communications, astronaut safety, power grids, and radiation on flights. NASA is in the process of building the Solar Probe Plus and has already installed key elements, including the cooling system.
A total solar eclipse will darken the sky throughout Southeast Asia. People who are within a 90-mile stretch of land in Indonesia will experience a total blackout on Wednesday morning as the moon passes directly in front of the sun. A solar eclipse like the one expected to occur on March 9th takes place only during a new moon, when the moon's dark side faces the Earth. As the moon passes between the Earth and the sun, it casts a full shadow on some parts of the planet and a partial shadow on a wider region of the Earth. However, new moons occur frequently, 13 times a year to be exact. Yet, we don't see 13 solar eclipses each year because the moon's orbit is tilted 5 degrees to the Earth's orbit around the sun. This means the moon is only perfectly aligned between the Earth and the sun twice a year. On the morning of March 9th, a 100-mile-wide total solar eclipse will be visible to viewers in Indonesia and other areas of Southeast Asia. Viewers north and south of the 100-mile-wide area will be able to see varying amounts of a partial eclipse. The total eclipse is expected to last between 90 seconds and 4 minutes depending on where the viewer is. It will last the longest in the Pacific Ocean east of the Philippines. While the total eclipse won't be visible from much of the world, don't fret, the next solar eclipse will pass through the Western Hemisphere in August 2017.